Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
Deon, we want to do something with you real quick, man. We call this halftime. And we just gonna throw some quick hitters at you, man. And I just gotta start with this, man. The three toughest, and I don't care if it's high school or college, that you played against.
Wow. Oof. Played against a lot of dudes, man. Until I gotta think.
Even overseas.
So Juwan was definitely one of.
He said that about you.
He said that about you.
Yeah, hey, much respect, man. I love you. Much respect. Glenn Robinson.
Oof.
The big dog.
Big dog.
Fucking monster, man.
God.
And I'm a, you know, again, there was a bunch of dudes in college, but I'm gonna give you one from Europe. There was a guy named Deon Thomas.
What?
One of the best players I have ever seen in my life.
What was special about him?
I remember walking on the court. Again, I go over in 94. My teammates are like, "Oh my God, we playing Bodie Roga." I'm like, "Man, fuck him." I'm like, really? Oh, I'm like, dude, stop playing. Y'all holding this dude up like he Jordan or something. In Europe, he was Jordan. Oh, in Europe, he was that dude. You know, I mean, you got the Tony Koo coaches and all of those dudes that were coming that had just left, and he is along that line of being in, you know, I guess he's from Croatia, but at that time it was Yugoslavia. Oh, it was all one country. So he's coming from there, and I'm like, dude, the hell with this dude. First time I ever been hit with a sham guard. Sham guard hadn't even started doing the sham guard yet. That's the first time I got hit with it. He goes hard left, reaches across, pull that thing back. I was like, okay.
What?
Now we playing the game. And this dude was like 6'10".
What?
This is like a 6'10" dude.
He moving.
Shooting
He
from
got
the
handles like that, D.
Yes. Had. He older than me. Had.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Dude, I'm telling you. And people, we were always, even when we were over there, we'd be like, why isn't this dude going to the league?
Mm.
You know, why?
Right.
So I'm talking to him one day. I'm like, Deshaun, I'm like, really? I'm like, tell him, why aren't, he was like, for what? He was like, I make enough money. I make more money here than I'm going to make over there.
Wow.
I'm like, and he was like, and then I don't have to beat up my body and all these other things. I'm like, okay. I was like, I get that.
And he had the city locked up.
And he had the city locked
man,
up.
yeah.
Right.
He sure did. Was playing in Barcelona at the time. I was like, man, I'm like, this dude getting it in.
This is my quick hitter, D. Your three favorite cities you lived in overseas, and what did you like about them?
Three favorite cities. I got to put Tel Aviv first and foremost. If anybody has not been to Israel, they need to go.
Really?
It's very westernized. It's like being in the shop.
Mm.
But with a beach, per capita, most beautiful women in the world, a nightlife that just does not stop.
Wow.
Food off the chain, the whole nine. I mean, it's just amazing.
Wow.
So that Tel Aviv is number one.
Okay.
Number two would have to be Malaga, Spain. Malaga is in the south of Spain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right on the coast. They got a team there I played for called Unicaja, and they got a big university there. It's one of the biggest in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of fun. Let me just say this. I went to play for them when I was 26.
Mm-hmm.
I was too young to be playing in Malaga.
Really?
What?
I was too young.
At 26?
Yeah, I was still too young. I shouldn't have gone there until I was married.
Wow.
So, and beautiful. Everything about it was beautiful. I mean, man, I had a 5-bedroom villa that sat on this peak
Mm-hmm.
that looked off into the ocean. I mean, it was just sick. It was sick.
That is crazy.
And as far as living, the third would have to be Sevilla, Spain, which is still in the south, a little bit further north of Malaga. There, I actually almost bought a house. I was going to stay there.
Really?
I wasn't even coming back.
Like, was going to be a citizenship you was going to get.
Oh yeah. My mom kind of gave me the guilt trip, and that's what brought me back home. But if it wasn't for that, I'd still be sitting there. We'd be talking over. We'd be talking to this while I'm there.
Hey, I don't know if you said Spain. Both of them are those wine countries. Like, was those big producing wine places?
Not so much. The wine country of Spain is mainly up north.
Okay.
More in the north, I guess, northwest part of Spain is more so where the wine country is. Those climates are drier. So they do produce some wines like that, but no, they're more industrial type places.
Okay.
Malaga was more of a vacation area. I mean, it's like being almost like being in Monaco or something like that. I mean, that's how.
Have you been back to either three of those since?
I've been to Tel Aviv multiple times. I've been back to Israel. Well, my kids were born in Spain. My oldest daughter was born in Spain, and then my youngest was born in Israel. So my wife's family is from Israel. So we would go back there like every year. I've only been back to Spain once since I retired. And that was back to the Canary Islands where my oldest daughter was born, because we still had a bunch of friends that lived there. But yeah, I'm looking to go back there because I miss it.
Hey, you see that smile on his face, Agee?
I see.
Let me ask you this, D. In your entire college career, 3 toughest stadiums you played in?
3 toughest stadiums I played in college. Purdue is first. Mackey is right up there at the top, man. Mackey is even to this day when I watch, because I do the radio for men's basketball for Illinois. When we go over there, those students are like basically right there. Real tough place to play. Assembly Hall in Bloomington, with Indiana, always a tough place to play. But one of the things I appreciated during my time there was they appreciate basketball. So even if we made a good play, you got an applause or you got a clap, but they still made it hard on you. So Assembly Hall is probably second. Third, I'll probably say I'm debating between Iowa and Michigan State. Iowa, because when everything was going on with me, it was just the ruckus. I used to have dudes shaking keys. The crowd, when I shoot free throws, they shake keys and all this other stuff. But when you went up to East Lansing, man, and at that time, Steve Smith, they had Mike Poplawski, they had Master Ginga, later on, they just and the way they play, it's such a physical brand of basketball that Mike Poplawski, I think his only job was just to beat the shit out of me. I think that was his job. Yeah, you just go out there and just beat Deon up. That was
lean on him, push him in the back.
Oh man, I'm telling you, and I used to, and this dude, Mike's doing really good things for himself now, but he just had this big Frankenstein blockhead, and he was just like, and he was huge, man. I used to hit him with every elbow in the book, and it just seemed like he would just keep coming, wouldn't stop. Right. This was like, okay, dude, really? So,
they feed
and then, of course, Iowa had AC Earl. And as much as I love my boy AC, man, I don't know if AC was just clumsy or physical or what, but AC used to try to pound on me. And then Chris Street, man, I just hated playing against Chris Street. Love him as a person, hated playing against Chris Street. So those will have to be maybe a tie for the third.
Okay. Your 3 favorite sneakers you played in over the years?
Well, I tell you, the worst was when I had to play at Illinois in them damn cons.
You hated cons?
Man, I hated them cons. Hated them.
Oh,
hated
wow. Them. And you couldn't wear nothing else, like your own pair. You had to have, that was a team shoe. Like that was
a team shoe.
Wow.
Yeah, we were sponsored by Converse. Hated them shoes. Hated them. Which one is the Jordan with the black and silver that comes across the front? I don't know what number that is.
The Concords.
That may be it. That's my favorite shoe.
The patent leather ones?
No. Where's my phone? I gotta find it. I'm gonna tell you, but it's those Jordans. But they were white with like the black and gray across the where the strings are.
Oh,
I don't know which number.
I know you're talking about. That's the year he retired.
Yeah, but those I love. Those are my best. And then the second best would have to be the Answers, the Allen Iverson Answers.
Mm-hmm.
Love that shoe too.
Okay.
Really?
That was when that's when I moved into the 3/4 too. So those were great.
Now, in your opinion, do you think shoes over the years then got better or they've gotten cheaper or worse? Like, you like the old school 90s shoes or you like the 2000 eras and this new fly knit stuff they doing?
I don't like the shoes today. And I like them if they look good.
Right.
You know, but I don't think they withstand, even with my kids, because my daughter played basketball.
Okay.
You know how many pairs of shoes I had to buy for her just because she'd be cutting and they'd rip and tear. And I mean, shoes back in the day, you can wear one pair all year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your cushion wasn't, on the inside, your insole wasn't run down. You still had grip on the bottom. Even if you wore them outside, you had grip on the bottom. Today's shoes, man, they be torn up and done after. Like, I changed my shoes when I was playing after every 4 games.
Wow.
Because it felt like it didn't have the same stability. Now, that could have been a mental thing, I don't know, but it just didn't feel like it had the same stability.
Right.
Whereas when this is one thing I can say about those cons, man. Your ankles were wrapped, and you weren't going to have no problem with your ankles. And I think that's the thing that they try to do now is they try to make them so light that they're using these materials. And then, of course, they mass produce them. Before we had our shoes made here, now they're made other places where the quality just isn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking like this because I learned this all from my coaching days as well, not just my playing days. I'm like, fuck, especially when I was at the junior college, because we got to buy shoes. It's not like we had, contracts with Nike or things like that. I was the AD and the head coach. I had to buy those. So we had to make sure that they fit within the budget. And now I got to buy other shoes.
Right.
That's right.
Give me the 2000, early 2000s over these shoes today.
What do your daughter like?
My daughter, I think my daughter, she was in love with Steph Curry. So I don't know if it was the shoe or the fact that she liked his pretty self.
Right.
But she wore Currys.
She wore the SCs, baby.
Man, I gotta ask you this, man. When Deon is driving down the street, what is playing on your radio?
Now that's one of them. Now you talking about a passion? Music is a passion.
What?
I love music. Love music. And I owe that to my mom. And when I say music, I'm talking about everything. We listened to everything when we would clean on Saturdays and we dance all day Sunday. That was our thing.
Wow.
So my mom taught me step all the way down to doing the Watusi and the twist. Oh my, come on. Knew everything. So my point is, we listen to all kinds of music. So you asked what's on Deon's playlist.
Absolutely.
If I showed you my Spotify playlist, my Apple playlist, you'd be like, damn. Cause I'm going from the 60s with the OJs all the way up to today with, a few of the rappers today. I listen to everything, man.
Well, give me some names. Give me some names. Who are you listening to? Give me some names.
All right, hold on. Of course, everybody, I like Jeezy. Well, today, which ones you want?
Give me both. You
got some Bruno Mars in there?
Do not have Bruno Mars in there. No. But I got some Al Green. I got some Alicia Myers, Angie Stone, Anthony David. Dude, I even got some Arrested Development. Got this one sister. She's a country singer, Ashley Amber. Now you got to make sure you look her up. Even if you just look at the pictures, you look her up. I got some Bobby Caldwell on here, the Brothers Johnson, Burna Boy, Cleo Soul, Corinne Bailey Ray, Counting Crows.
Right.
Now, where's my?
You could have stopped at the Brothers Johnson.
Of course, there's Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Isaac Brothers, the OJ Nolan in there, Dwelle.
A whole spectrum of things.
No, bro, I'm telling you, from the old school Footsteps in the Dark all the way up to country music. I got everything on there. I just love music.
Hey, you know, Agee, Deon remind me of Curtis. You know, you got in his car, you can't mess with his radio. He already had his tracks ready to go.
Right.
And you was gonna listen to it. And if it was a song he wanted you to hear, he would wait till you got in the car and then press play.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Hey, Deon, this is the last halftime question, man. I mean, quick hitter. 3 essential items you got to take with you when you are playing overseas.
My music, definitely. That was the first and foremost. And at the time when I was playing over there, bro, it was, you know, you didn't get TV in English. I mean, you had 2 channels in English. I had Eurosport and CNN.
Wow.
So I would stack up on all the bootleg DVDs I could.
So you know what he's saying, right? Before he went overseas, he had to make a stop at the barber shop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And really, whatever that, and I used to make trips to come back and get whatever those essential foods and snacks, whatever I had to take with me. Had to take my hot Cheetos with me because you can't get hot Cheetos over there, bro.
Right.
I mean, to this day, I still eat those, and I probably shouldn't because I put on a couple more pounds. I should probably leave them Cheetos alone, but you know, whatever that essential snack was, because we had to take it with because they just didn't, they didn't eat like that in Spain. So they gotta make sure you got it.
I know when the locals saw you eat some Cheetos, I know they was like, what the hell is he eating?
Oh, I turned a whole lot of people on to a bunch of stuff that they had never had. I started making trips when I was bringing my stuff back over Christmas break. I'd be bringing them the same shit back. Yeah, could you bring me one of those? I'm like, yeah, I got you. I got you.
Well, D, we appreciate you doing halftime with us, man. We want to get right back into this thing. Here it is, man, leading up to the draft. Did you have any insight to where you might go and how many teams did you work out for?
Whew, man. I zipped back and forth across. I mean, when I say from north, south, east, and west, I was all over the country. You know, at that time, you know, I was looked at as a tweener, being that 6'7" area. And I had been told that, you know, hey, you can go anywhere from 7 to 17. And I'm like, okay, all right. Draft night comes, and I didn't go to New York. I stayed and watched it with Jimmy Collins and at his house with his family, and my family came down. My mom, my grandmother, and everybody came down, and we're watching this together. And I got 3 phone calls. Mark Bartelstein was my agent and over at Priority Sports, and I got 3 phone calls from Mark throughout the first half.
Okay.
The first round, of the draft. So he called me at 14 and was like, Dallas is going to take you now at 14. And then I got another call back quickly. He was like, I think they're going to do something else. That's not the second. So next phone call came, was with the Bulls. He called me right before the Bulls. He was like, I think the Bulls are going to take you now. They just told me they're going to take you. So I tell everybody in the house, I'm going to the Bulls. And, you know, they started because they drafted Dickie Simpkins that day. So, you know, and I'm like, they're like, Dickie Simpkins. I'm like, everybody in the house looking at me like, what?
I know they was like, fire his agent.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sitting there, I'm a little pissed now. Next phone call comes in. He was like, Deon, you going now to Dallas. So, of course, I didn't say nothing because I just made an ass out of myself when I thought I was going to the Bulls. And Dallas calls it 28th, the very next pick. But yeah, you hear, and this is one of the things I try to tell people, especially Illinois fans, about Io this year. And they were like, yeah, you know, he's going to go here, he's going to go here. I'm like, y'all need to sit down and relax because no one knows where this kid is going to go. You know, they had him, the Bulls even had him slotted at going 19. I mean, we had heard that he was going to go somewhere between 14. I had heard that he was going to go somewhere between 14 and 21. Right. He slept all the way to 38. And I'm like, wow, this thing. And well, Deon, how'd that happen? I'm like, because you just never know.
Right.
Those, you know, when they're sitting in their war room and they think something happened and this happens and somebody gets taken here, now they start reshuffling. I'm I'm like, you just never know. But I tell you this, though, about Ayo. I bet there's 31 teams wishing they had drafted his butt now.
Absolutely.
There are 31 of them now that are like, oh, damn, we made a mistake.
That dude's a baller.
You know, young fella doing his thing.
He was nice in college, but his game is fit for, it was going to adapt. He was going to adapt to the pro level like this because his confidence and just the way he played, he plays with an effort all the time, dude.
I'll tell you, when guys would come, of course, I cover Illinois basketball, but I talk to a lot of the scouts and the guys that would come to me, and I'd be like, yeah, we don't know. I'm like, bro, I was like, trust me, you guys don't get to see him all the time. I see this kid all the time. I was like, his work ethic, his drive, and I don't want to use ego in a bad way, but this kid will not allow himself to fail.
Yes.
I was like, it's just not going to happen. I was like, he's going to get better every step of the way. He's going to get better. Now I talked to one of my boys the other day, NBA scout. He was like, Deon, he was like, they're saying that he could possibly be like a Kawhi Leonard or who else name did they use? They said, I was like, man, I told you that. I told you this kid was going to do nothing but get better. You know, and his, like you said, his game is suited for the NBA. It wasn't really suited for college. It was suited for the NBA, and he was still killing in college. I'm like, come on, man.
Getting to the rim, getting to his spots on his pull-ups. And what I like about him playing with the Bulls, man, is that it's the right fit. And the thing is, this dude is playing in the fourth quarter. He finishing games.
Exactly. So you see where the trust lies. And that's one of the things about this kid that I was trying to I tell anybody. The fans would not be talking to him, which, you know, this kid, his drive, his what he gets from Q and his mom and his family and just how he was raised, how they were raised. I mean, this kid's cut from a different cloth. I mean, when he came back, when I saw him, I'm like, bro, I was like, you leaving this year, right? He was like, yeah, I'm leaving. I was like, I just ask you one thing. Make sure you come back and get your degree. I mean, he's less than a semester away when he graduated anyway. I'm like, make sure he was like, Deon, he was like, you know who my mother and father are, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, that's not even a question. I'm like, all right, then I'm in deal. Because that's the cloth he comes from. I mean, so I'm not shocked about what he's doing right now. I'm happy
because you said you saw it every day, every time they played. Like,
yep. I'm like, this dude's the real deal.
To hear this from you, who get to see him all the time, and now the world they don't know too much about him, but now the whole world is seeing it, and it's like, oh my God, oh look at Ayo. Oh, this guy is. I'm like, damn, but they people that know him already knew he was gonna be doing this when he got here.
Exactly. You know, but that's the difference when you have local coverage of teams, or like we cover Illinois. I mean, so I watch the other teams in the Big Ten, but I cover Illinois. So when the national guys come in and they come over to us and ask us questions. Well, what about this guy? What about this guy? And I mean, this is the same thing I tell them about Kofi Colbert. I'm like, man, don't y'all be fooled by him. He's just this big he's this big lumbering guy. I'm like, this dude wins sprints. He beats the guards in sprints. I was, I'm like, and he's been playing this game for 5 years. I'm like, this kid I was like, you talking about me? He's the same. He's like I was. This kid played soccer.
Wow.
I mean, even when he's warming up, their warm-ups, he warming up with a soccer ball, kicking it back and forth with one of the dudes that's from Europe. I'm like, that's what he was.
He plays with a nastiness and a killer instinct now too. Like there's a growl on his face. You can see him trying to intimidate opponents and everything. He try to dunk everything when he turn around.
I love it. I want him to turn around and elbow somebody in the face and dunk it on him, and then just raise his hand and be like, all right, my bad, ref. I take the 1-5.
Right.
First of all, he don't try to intimidate people. He is intimidating. Man, I don't want to guard that dude, man. That dude, That's a mini Hulk, man. Ain't anybody trying to
I
guard
want
that dude, man.
I want to guard his ass. I want to know what it feels like to get to be on the block and he in front of me.
No, you ain't gonna be on the block. You gonna be on the floor.
Exactly.
Can you imagine going through one of them screens and that dude hit you?
I'm gonna say Kofi Coburn, you got 2 dribbles to back me down, and I ain't moving. What you gonna do?
First of all, he don't need 2 dribbles.
I'm not even doing that one, Art. I'm not even doing that, dog.
He don't need 2 dribbles.
No. Every time I'm walking through State Farm, somebody come up to be like, yeah, how would you like to have played against Kofi? I say, just like everybody else, nobody wants to play against Kofi.
Come on, man.
Wow.
So do you think you could have done something against him? I'm like, yeah, because I'm a scorer, bro. I'm a scorer. I know how to use angles and get around people. I was like, but I'm not defending him.
Dude.
Man, you crazy.
Come on, man. You see that dude body, man? Man,
Yeah.
Exactly.
That dude biceps bigger than some people's head, man. Come on, ain't nobody guarding that dude, man. But
No.
let me ask you this, D. Dallas draft you, but you choose to go overseas. What was that process? Why make that decision?
Part of it was before that I had gone to Dallas had 2 camps before all this stuff happened. We had a rookie camp, and then we had like a preseason camp, and I played really well in both camps. So at the end of the second, and this was leading up to the summer league stuff that they were doing. After that second one, Dick Motto was the coach at the time. And he pulled me in and he was like, Deon, he was like, man, we love you, blah, blah, blah. It goes through this whole thing. He was like, but we want to make sure that, we switch your position. They wanted me to play the small forward. He was like, we want to switch your position so you can expect not to play that much this year. And I'm like, but dude, I was just, other than Jamal Mashburn, Jimmy Jackson, Jason Kidd, I didn't get the rest of these dudes work.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean? But see, and this was what I didn't understand. You got to earn your cookies when you get to the league. They don't care about how good a player you are. You got to earn your stripes. And I didn't get that. And at that time, that was not one of those things that they explained to you. And Dallas was also very dysfunctional at that time. We had, I think there was 2 GMs by the time, camp was supposed to come in, like the veteran camp was supposed to come in. We had two different GMs. Right. So 11th hour before I'm about to sign my contract with Dallas, Mark comes for me. He's like, Deon, he was like, I know you got the contract in hand. He was like, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't present this offer to you. It was a team from Spain. Being a kid from where we're from the west side of Chicago, I wanted to see more things. I wanted to experience more of life. And as I said to you before, it wasn't for me. It wasn't NBA or bust.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, you know what? This is a great opportunity. My senior year, when I was at Simeon, we had gone, our basketball team, and actually Marshall's girls basketball team had gone to Amsterdam.
Wow.
Yeah, so we played over there for like 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. And I loved it.
Really?
Loved it. And I was like, oh man, I was like, there's something else out here in the world. So I called Coach Collins and I'm like, Coach, this is the scenario. I break down to him Dallas. Of course, I break down this new offer to him. Which was for more than what I would have made my first year in Dallas. And so at the end of our conversation, he was like, Deon, it's not about where you make your money. He was like, it's about being able to do what you want to do at the end and not what you have to do. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, you know what? I was like, shit, then I'm going to do this. The NBA is not going anywhere. I can always come back the next year because they just retain your rights.
Right.
So I went over my first year, man. I was rookie of the year. Well, if they had a rookie of the year, I would have been rookie of the year. I had the highest evaluation of any and all of the rookies that were there. And so my plan was to come back after that in 95. But then the NBA went on strike in 95.
Yeah.
So when they went on strike, I went back over. And had another great year, made more money. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, by this time, you feel like shit. I'd have made the right decision.
Yes, because I was loving it. I was loving it.
You playing, you excelling, you winning.
Yep,
you loving the city that you in. Like shit, I know you was like, I like this shit.
Exactly, and that's what it was. I was like, man, this is great. And then Dallas came back year 3 and was like, all right, well, we got this. But then this is, and you saw it, Will, you pointed out the smile on my face. This is when Malaga came calling to the table.
Oh.
And I, and again, having been there when we went to play the team, I was like, fuck, do I go to Dallas or I go to Malaga? I'm going to Malaga. And now that was that after that, man. I didn't look back after that.
Yeah. Well, you said you wanted to experience life, and I guarantee you did.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you, I was over there 14 years, almost lived there. I don't regret one iota of having been over there all that time. Not one bit. The only thing I tell people when I joke about this is, the only thing the NBA would have given me that I didn't get over there, I would have probably been recession proof.
Yeah.
You lose a lot. When that tech bubble bust, lost a pretty nice chunk of change. And that probably, would have made less of a difference if I had been playing in the NBA. By the time your second contract coming around, if you're doing some good things, you're in real life changing money.
Absolutely.
That probably be the only thing. But man, everything else, the experiences, my family, kids I loved every minute I was over there.
So I got to ask you this though. Nothing, I'm just double checking on this. Nothing in you said, man, I wish I would have put an NBA uniform on.
No. But again, it wasn't, when I was coming up, it wasn't about that. I mean, I hooped to change my life. Yeah. So my life, but everything that I was thinking was being changed. I was able to put my mom through rehab, get her all set on her feet. Now she's one of the biggest real estate brokers in Arizona. Wow. I mean, I was able to send my brother to college. I was able to bring family overseas so they can see and experience different things. So there was so much that I was able to do. And then to be honest, if I had been in the league, I would have been able to do some of those same things. But my parents, I wouldn't have gone to Europe. What the hell I'm going to go travel all the way over there for when I got the Caribbean, Mexico, and all this other stuff here? I probably wouldn't have done that. But that kind of really changed my perspective on life. Wow. So, that ball did what it was supposed to do for me, man. And it just, didn't incorporate an NBA uniform. So no, didn't really miss it.
Wow. That is amazing, dude. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy.
It really is, because I said this earlier, your hoop dream story is so different. And
yes.
And
totally different.
But yet you ended up still in the ultimate hoop dreams.
Yeah.
Where did
he's calling games?
Yeah. And where did that perspective, where did that come from? Was that something your mom gave you, your grandmother gave you, just to view things differently? Because again, when Agee and I, our thing was kind of like NBA or bust, even though we accomplished great things outside of the game. But I think for both of us, there's still that piece in us that's saying, man, we still didn't get the ultimate goal, which was to play in the NBA. Where did you get that different life perspective from?
There was my grandmother, and then there was really life. My grandmother used to always tell me, you're bigger than the village. She would say there's more outside of where we live. So you need to get out there and experience life. So it was always about experiencing life. It wasn't necessarily about, the sport or the ball or anything like that. And then again, you got to remember, when I grew up, man, I didn't like basketball. I didn't play basketball because I loved the game. I played it for the competition. I played it to change my living situation. And that was always the focus. Didn't really matter if I played in the pros or not. I was like, I can do this so I can get to college. So then after college, and I'll give you this. My 8th grade speech when I graduated for Yale, I wanted to be a Supreme Court justice. So I see you, Agee.
I'm like, wow.
that was a thing.
Who the hell thinks like
And
that
it was-
in 8th grade?
Because I had to do, in my school, I don't know, you remember who Tempest Bledsoe was off the Cosby Show?
Yes.
So her father was my teacher, was one of my teachers, Mr. Bledsoe.
Her real dad.
Her real dad. So Mr. Bledsoe, Miss Palmer, Miss Young, Mr. Smith, they were always, when we were at Yale, and I think I listened, and I'm in a group with a lot of the people from my class at Yale that had these things. They always taught us it wasn't a sport. It was always about expanding your mind and who you are, and that's So I think it came from a lot of influences, but I would have to say the biggest one was my grandmother, and using basketball to just better my life as a whole didn't necessarily mean just playing professionally. It just meant, getting my college degree and being able to grow from there. So that would, I guess, in a long-winded answer, that's probably the answer, Will.
No, that's powerful. I guess just a follow-up question to that is, because we see so many kids today, man, that they are striving for that dream and putting everything into it. Even as you were coaching, what do you say to kids? How do you help them balance?
As well as the parents. The parents are like living the dream, trying to push the dream on these kids. Yeah.
This is one of the difficulties that I found when I was coaching, because all of the parents think their kid was the next Kobe, the next LeBron, and I knew the reality of the percentages that were going to go on to the next level, whether it was the NBA or going to Europe. So I'm looking at this. So I'm constantly trying to convince the parents, no, I'm not trying to shoot down your dream or Tommy's dream.
Right.
But what you're making a plan A needs to be your plan B. That's what that you still need to work your butt off for plan B.
Right.
But your plan A needs to be graduating from college. And I'm not going to be the first one to fool myself and say that a college degree is a guarantee that you're going to be successful in life. But what I can guarantee you is your road is a lot harder if you don't have it.
Don't have it. That's right.
Because you're limiting doors that you can walk through for yourself. And that was what I used to tell parents all the time. This is what I used to tell kids all the time. I'm going to help you become the best basketball player you can be. I'm going to help you become the best man you can be. But I'm not doing my job if I'm not giving you the whole story.
Yep.
So I got to give you the whole picture so you can understand, one, what you're up against and the work that you got to put in. And understand that guys on that NBA level are special.
Yeah.
They're special. They're the best athlete. They're the best of the best of the best athletes that you've ever seen in your life.
The 12th man on the bench is.
Exactly. And that's the dude that's not going to have a job at the end of the year. He's going to be somewhere else. Or maybe not even playing. And he is probably one of the best dudes one of the best players that you would have ever played against. And that's, I used to try to give people a dose of reality, which is also one of the reasons that I was like, okay, you know what? I got to get out of coaching. I was like, because it's too difficult to convince people of real life. One of the players that played for us at UIC, he'd come sit in my office all the time. Loved him. I'm not going to put his name out there because you guys probably know him. And I know some people that listen to this might know him. But I'm sitting down with him. I'm like, bro, you need to do better in school. Oh, well, coach, don't worry about it. I'm going to the league anyway. I say, really? Say, how many points you averaging here? I'm like, bro, you're not even averaging double figures here at UIC in the Horizon League. How are you going to the league? Oh, well, if I don't go to the league, I'm going overseas. I say, okay. I was like, let me tell you something. I played overseas 14 years.
That's right.
Like, you're not just competing against the guys that are coming out at your level, because a lot of these guys are the ones that are going to be trying to get jobs overseas.
Yep.
You're competing against guys that are leaving the league. You are competing against the Europeans that are already there.
Really over there.
Yeah, I was like, that have built up their names and resumes, not to mention the new guys that they're building up in their leagues over there. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, let's be realistic about this. I'm not telling you can't do it, because I love your game. And you got another year in order to improve as a player. I was like, but let's be realistic.
Mm.
We got to bet. And I had a kid at the JUCO level when I was at Lewis and Clark. This kid goes into his sophomore year. It's time to move him on. I'm like, bro, and this is God's honest truth. Me and my assistant coach's girlfriend had set it up for him to go to Harvard.
Really?
Harvard, from the junior college level. And his dad came to me and was like, Coach, do you know Bill Self? I'm like, yeah, I know Bill Self. Why? I'm like, that ain't gonna happen.
What are you talking about?
I'm not gonna even sit here and pull your leg. That's not going to happen. Well, there's a kid on the team. They played AAU together. They were always so great together. I'm like, not gonna happen. This is what I got for him. You know, he got a couple low D1s over here that really like him, and Harvard.
Yes.
Ivy League. Because of his upbringing, he was going to be going to Harvard for free. Free. I'm like, he's like, no, Coach, he wants to hoop. He wanted to play. I'm like, you can play at Harvard.
You can play at Harvard.
I mean, I'm like, you can play at Harvard. He's like, no, he wants to go to this school. I'm like, man. I was like, okay.
Didn't Tommy Amica coach there?
Yep. But this was before Tommy.
Right.
This was before Tommy.
I know Tommy coached there. Like, wow.
But that was the thing. So you ask about, the parents. The parents are hard. The parents are really hard. But any kid, and if there's people that are listening to this, that does not mean don't stop. Don't
right.
work.
Don't mean stop dreaming. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop.
Exactly.
Trying to work for that NBA or that overseas. But it's also Mr. 14-year overseas. Tell them that about American players when they go over there. They ain't got no problem with sending your ass back home if you don't go over there and produce.
Quick as
Tell him, come over there talking about you a big man and you putting up 8 and 8. Yep. Send him home.
Yeah. Yep. By the time Christmas break comes around, you can be for sure there's going to be a mass exodus of people from teams in Europe. It happens every year.
Wow.
But see, part of that is not just their playing. A lot of the guys don't get over there. They stay closed-minded. They don't open their minds. My 14-year career lasted through injuries, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Because I went over there open-minded. I went over there and not only connected with the Americans, I connected with whether it was the Spaniards, the Israelis, the Grecian players, the Bulgarian players. I was friends with everybody. I had to make sure that I always knew the owner. I knew the owner's wife. I knew the owner's kids. I knew the GM and his family. I played the game.
Yeah.
That's why today I tell people, you need help, call me, because I still got all those connections that I had over there. Not all of them, a lot of them that I had over there because I built those relationships. And as you mentioned, so if there's anybody listening and they get an opportunity to go over there, don't be closed-minded, man. Got to open your mind. You got to make sure you meet people and network.
Wow.
Yes, for sure.
That's some ton of information, man. Some people need to call you, man. I mean, that's just.
But it's just life information too. We're just talking about being honest with yourself and being able to sit down with your family and have a real evaluation of what's best.
Yeah.
And we don't see that a lot. And but D, I want to move into, man, your post-career. Talk to us a little about, what has Deon Thomas been up to since your playing days?
Deon's done a lot, man. And I'm working on some new stuff now, but Deon's done a lot. When I first retired or changed careers, I won't say retired. I'm not old enough to retire, but when I changed careers, I was like a lot of players that in their career, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Far too many of us question, what do we do now, or who are we? Since we're not bouncing the ball or throwing the ball anymore, we question who we are and what our possibilities at doing. So first thing I did was like a lot of guys. I went right into coaching because that's what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
That was the easiest thing. That was, would feed my identity, would feed that hunger that I still had to be around fun and competition. So I coached 1 year in high school in Florida. I was living in Florida at the time. So I coached 1 year down there. Then I took a job at Lewis and Clark down in Godfrey, Illinois, where I was the athletic director and the head coach. And I took that because I wanted to learn that administrative side of the game as well as coach. 2 years later, 5 years later, I took a job at UIC. Howard Moore hired me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Howard got fired and they brought in Steve McLean, who was over at Indiana first, who's now at Georgia. And after that, I resigned. I was like, okay, you know what? I've been around basketball long enough. I need to do something else. So through networking and contacts, I had a contact over at the College of Education at UIC. So he and I started working together, and I developed and worked with him to develop and implement a program called UIC Engage. So what it was, I was the director of UIC Engage, and we would hire graduate students and undergraduate students, and we would send them out to the elementary schools, whether they were churches or after-school programs, to mentor, do homework help, to do whatever we could to get those kids thinking about college.
Yeah.
Or thinking about the possibilities other than, all of the crap that's taking place in the Austin neighborhood, all the way down to the University Village now, all the way over there, because that's kind of the area where we could venture out from UIC to go to. So I did that for 2 years. And then the president from Illinois contacted me and wanted to start a new position within his office. So I took the job there. So for 2 years, I went to work in government relations for the University of Illinois system. So for all 3 campuses, I was the community relations coordinator for that. So basically what that was, I worked with the local state government as well as the CPS and other community organizations to build relationships with the university, whether they were academic relationships and connections with the university. So I did that for 2 years. And I kind of got, I won't say burned out, but disenchanted by the work that I was doing because it was too slow. Everything in higher ed and government takes too long. And so some of these schools that I'm working at are schools that I went to,
right?
So I'm like, okay, we need help like now. These kids need help quick. So I've developed plans to get this done quick, but it just doesn't, that's not how higher ed or government works. That's not how education or government works. They're slow. And so I got a little disenchanted with that. And then that's when Josh Whitman called me. They were retooling the office here in Chicago and so now I'm the associate director of development for the University of Illinois Athletics, which I'm basically shortly said, I'm a fundraiser for U of I Athletics. So I work with a lot of our donors to bring in money for the university, to provide scholarships, student experiences, as well as, bricks and mortar to be able to build those buildings down there. So we raise the money along with my team, the team that I'm a part of, to raise money for university athletics. So that's what I'm currently doing alongside, I did the Big Ten for 5 years, but now I'm mainly with Learfield, which is the Illinois basketball radio.
Wow.
You got so many jobs. Can we have one of them?
Bro, I'm helping people find whatever they can find, and that's kind of the next endeavor is I'm putting together a consulting company right now, a group on helping athletes, former athletes, ones that are graduating from college or that are coming back into what I call the real world, find internships, find jobs, because we as athletes have learned, we got soft skills and things that we've learned that we didn't even realize we were learning. we had to be focused. We had to be focused when we were playing. We had to be driven in order to push the product. We had to be able to work within the team. And let's just be quite honest. Your boss is going to chew your ass out every once in a while. So what does your coach do? So you've already have all of these innate tools to be able to use and be able to offer, to corporate America or whatever governing body, to be able to go slide right in there and be productive. So that's kind of the future project that I'm looking at and I'm trying to get done to get off the ground.
Hey, didn't the guy who invented PayPal come from University of Illinois?
Yes, the guy that invented PayPal as well as Paylocity. So we got a bunch of pretty good grads there.
I mean, it's so many people that went to University of Illinois that's really got money, like in Chicago area, like doctors, people at Northwestern. I mean, people live up by Evanston. I know a lot of people up there, Illinois alums, doctors, surgeons. I mean, it's shit. Illinois got some people, man. Some donors, fundraisers, shit, man.
But it gives me an opportunity, being in this fundraiser role, to really build my network for whatever that next step is in life. But at the same time, being able to do a 360, because if it wasn't for, fundraisers at that time when I was coming out,
right,
there ain't no scholarship for me, So now I get to do that very same thing and for scholarships for guys and girls that are coming into Illinois.
Well, let me just put it like this, Agee. The University of Illinois sitting on a $4 billion endowment.
Right.
Yeah, a couple good buckets.
D, I want to applaud you for doing that program at UIC, man. Having the graduates go out and speak to the elementary school kids, because, I mean, those kids have already in their head where I live at. Why you come talking to me about college? Like, I'm not gonna be able to afford college. Like they need that. No, you can afford college. You know what I'm saying? They need that reassurance from people who are at college. I give you big ups for doing that program, man, and letting them kids know early, 3rd and 4th grade, like, oh, we can go to college.
No, and that's why I did it, Art, is to really, like I mentioned earlier, when I went to Illinois, I was able to bring my brother to campus. I was able to bring cousins to campus that had never seen stuff like that. I mean, shit, I lived right behind UIC's campus, and at that time, it was more of a commuter campus than anything else, but I was able to walk on a college campus. I mean, how many kids from the village have never even been downtown?
Yeah.
So, and this is if you walk, it's a 45-minute walk. You can just walk there, but just the whole idea and the mentality of being able to see something. And this is why I'm so thankful to my grandmother. She's like, you're bigger than the village.
Yeah.
And I mean, and my granny and I would literally walk from Roosevelt and Damon downtown, because we can only afford to go one way. So either we were going to take the bus down, we were going to take the bus down and walk back, or we were going to walk there and then take the bus back. It was one way we could afford to get there. So during the daylight time, we would walk, and this is winter now, so it's cold. So we would walk. So we would walk up and down the street and look in, the Macy's windows and all these other windows. I'm like, damn, this is here. Yeah. And then we take the bus back. So, I mean, I got to take my hat off to my granny, because she was forward thinking, for me to see that there was some other shit outside of where we live. Outside of, Magic, Don Juan driving up and down the street in his green caddy, or my cousins and them standing on the corner doing their thing, or the wine heads on the other corner. She used to take it out herself to show me that there was something different. And that program gave me an opportunity to be able to talk to some kids and really go. And that's why, for me, it hurt me when I left that position. It hurt me, the fact that shit just moves so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
People are doing things. It's just hard to get it done and get it through.
And I like the other program that you're doing too. I mean, the program you're working on now, man, I think that is so huge, because a lot of athletes, I'm going to say a high percentage, We focused so much on the game while we were in school.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have time to do internships or invest, in levels of really preparing ourselves for life after the game.
Yeah.
Because Agee and I, we talk about this all the time. I even remember when I was being recruited by Marquette, and I still remember my coach, Kevin O'Neill. He said, Will, he put up here, he go, basketball, he hold up one finger, has to be the second most important thing in your life. And then he put up two fingers, and school must come first. And I'm like, man, the subliminal message is basketball is one. And then everything else after that, you figure that out. But
Right,
I appreciate the program that you're creating, man, because I often thought, man, it would have been nice for the NCAA on some level for when guys left school, that there would have been a program, something to help them, assimilate into the real world. But there really isn't. Once you're done playing, thank you for your service. Here's your jersey to hang up on your wall.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye. You know?
A lot of truth in that. And that was one of the things, way back when I retired in 2009, I started thinking of this. But, life gets in, you got to, all the other stuff that I was doing. And this is why now I want to get this done and get it built and get it going. Because there's just far too many, as you said, we're not equipped to be assimilated into the real world.
Yep.
And I was telling a guy that's helping me build this out, I'm like, dude, I was like, being an athlete, the life of an athlete is not real. You guys started playing, like you said, when you were 8, 9 years old.
Yep.
From 8, 9 years old, and don't be real good.
Right.
You're real good. So now, especially with AAU and everything, you got people telling you from you 8, 9 years old that you're going to the league. So this is all you were concentrating on all this time. So when you graduate, if you get to college, and when you graduate from college, you don't make that next step. Now it's just like, okay, what am I doing?
Right.
Who am I? This is all I poured my whole life into.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be changed. We got to switch that over. And there has to be vehicles for young people when they do finish to be able to move on and find something different.
Absolutely.
And you know what, Deon, throughout while they was filming me, I always had it in my back of my head, I might not make the league. Like it was that, like and I was cool with that. I was like, so what? I'm already equipped with how to go get a job, how to be, just how to be a citizen out in this world and being able to put my Arthur Agee of who I am, not just a basketball player, but Arthur Agee. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't going to have a problem with that had I not made the league. And Lord behold, through basketball and all the relationships and what Hoop Dreams taught me and Will did not even know that we was going to be inspiring other people to not just to have a wildness about trying to make basketball, but a wildness about life. I mean, you be surprised how many people come up to me and William or send us messages and tell us, man, watching that movie, man, help me with my job, help me with my family, help me. I'm like, really? Like we never thought in a million years that it would do that.
Oh yeah, and that's why I told you when I was overseas, I had people talking to me about your movie, the movie you guys were in. I mean, we never know the impact that we have on people, from maybe it's something simple that we do. And we never know that. And not, of course, you guys' situation was special. You were able to watch and be filmed and have these things, take place. So you were able to experience something different outside of what you guys would experiencing in your everyday life. Not everybody gets that. And that's the part where I think people forget themselves, lose themselves in what they do instead of who they are. And like you said, hey, Arthur Agee knew that he could interject Arthur Agee into this, and he can. Yeah. You already had who you were. Most people only wrap themselves around what that little orange pill does.
And it's so funny when I look at Will and his growth from where he came from. Will was always kind of laid back, or he ain't gonna say nothing too quick. He was a listener. He was a watcher. But now, from him being in the movie and his life, the dude was just, public speaking. Like, was you afraid to be telling your stories, you speaking it from your mouth, Will, when you went out to go speak to different places. And then that propels you into becoming a pastor. You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of that is kind of like what Dee was talking about. When you find that passion that resonate with, I guess the best way to say it is, man, it's a difference between what you love to do and what you know you're born to do. Like, I love the game of basketball, but as that transition happened over the course of my life, I did recognize that, man, we had a story to tell that was outside of the game. And Dee is right. A lot of guys didn't get what we got. I think Hoop Dreams, man, forever changed our lives and put us in a different kind of vehicle to do greater, and then not just do greater things, but want to see greater things happen in our lives. So it almost like it like, I believe sometimes you're just forced into greatness. And I think Hoop Dreams forced us into these roles that we're in now. And Dee, I just want to commend you, man, because the things that your story, like I say, man, it ain't the typical Hoop Dream story.
Yeah.
But you are living the Hoop Dreams life, man. It's just mind blowing to me right now, man. But listen, we've taken up so much of your time, but we do got a couple of questions. I just got to ask you about this. You've been on the college scene. You've seen it from every level. What's your take on the NIL situation? And do you think it's helping the game, hurting the game? Is it taking the players' focus off of the game? What do you think about this?
First of all, that's a great question. And I love this topic, and I do. I wish at our times when we were playing, we were able to benefit from NIL. And not just because, the NCAA or the universities, because that's normally the argument. Oh, well, the universities and the NCAA are making all the money and the kids aren't making anything. What NIL provides for these kids to do is to have money for themselves, to start a life for themselves, whether it's hopefully learning to invest, learning to put money aside. But it also helps, a lot of the kids where we're from, you get to send some money home to your people. You get to help your moms. You get to help your grandma. You get to send your little brother to school where his gear is actually halfway decent and he ain't, got their clothes on. So that's what NIL, when I look at it from that standpoint, I am so happy for these young people that they're able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. What does it hurt the game? I don't think so. I'm hoping, my hope is that it will have the opposite effect of the one and done, so to say. Because, you got a lot of people that'll go to college and then they'll leave, trying to get to the league, trying to chase that dream. So now, if NIL can keep these kids in college because they're able to make some money while still getting their degrees and performing on the basketball court, I think it's a win. I'll tell you just a real quick story. The other 3 games ago, I'm broadcasting the game down in Illinois, and Kofi is our post-game interview. So I told Kofi afterwards, I'm like, bro, I know you will probably get a lot of people hitting you up to go to the league after this year, because he's going to be, if he's not player of the year, he's going to be damn close to it. So you're going to be getting people. I'm like, but bro, you have not 1 year, you got 2 more years where this kid could make close to, if not over, $1 million a year.
While he's still in college, not even, wow.
Yeah. So you can take this, really start to build your own passive income, where you're making money off of your money before you even think about having to leave the university. And I was like, and then thinking your legacy. I was like, I'm the all-time leading scorer. That shit's been up there for almost 30 years. Break that record. Break it. Get your number hung up in the jersey, just like Ayo just got his done, like mine is done, and all these other great players. Get your jersey hung up there in the rafters. You don't have to do what some of the other guys did, which is leave early. Or leave, because you can make a ton of money now.
Being a top college prospect that he is, if, like you said, if he stay 2 more years and use that angle, like the NBA ain't going nowhere. The only thing I'm gonna be able to do is just get better. Wow.
Yep. And that's the thing. And so that's you ask. So does it help them? I'm happy that they have it. I think it'll keep more kids in college than trying to jump out. That's nothing but a positive. Now it's up to the coaches to figure out how to make that thing work. Because what you don't want is your kid having to go and fulfill his contract, and it's during your practices. So as long as they can find a balance between, because they have to do something. You can't, the way the law is in Illinois, I can't just write you a check. Well, the NCAA law as well. I can't just write you a check. You have to be doing something to earn said check, whether it's an autograph signing, making an appearance, or whatever it is. You have to do something. So you don't want that something to be interfering with the season, because if that's the case, then the kid could get hurt on the flip side of it. So as long as the coaches they can work that out, and they can make sure that those kids are still in class, still on the court for practice, doing their best in games, I like the whole situation around.
Let me ask you just a follow-up to that. Does this also hurt on any level what you do in terms of fundraising? Because let's say if Nike, Gatorade, or whatever were giving that money to the university, now they're giving it to the student athlete. Does that change the game a little bit?
It could. And I'm, again, not going to be naive to say, but I believe at the University of Illinois, with our donor base that we have, there are some people that will give, that, like you said, can give to both.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to hurt us or really affect us in any way. You know, maybe one or two situations here, but overall, in general, no, I don't think it'll have too much of an effect, because I think our donors understand the most important thing that we do on campus is cover scholarships, student athlete experiences, which is helping them become better people, not just better athletes, and prepare and trying to do some things to prepare them for after college and then the bricks and mortar. If they want the Kofis to keep coming to the University of Illinois, you have to keep giving to the iFund, because if all those other things aren't taken care of, we're not going to get these players.
Yep. Wow.
I was going to ask you about that. Does that change the recruiting game now? Because it's basically legal to give money in a sense.
Well, the thing is, it's legal once they get to, well, from an NCAA standpoint, it's legal to give it to them when they get to campus. You're not supposed to be using that as a recruiting tool. Like, I couldn't come to you guys and say, hey, I guarantee you come to my school, you're going to make $1 million. You can't do that. You know, you can't do it. One, you can't guarantee that you're going to get somebody $1 million, you know, because the donor might be like, no. So you're not supposed to do that. But I still think if you have kids, and kids ain't stupid, if I'm being recruited by Illinois and I'm watching what your team is doing, I'm watching, you know, them on social media, and I can see the companies and things that they're working with, then I'm going to have an idea that this could be happen to me as well. But they're not supposed to use it as a recruiting tool. But, you know, I mean, God, come on. We all know they're going.
Can the University of Illinois, can they sell Kofi Cockburn shirts in their bookstore? And would they have to give him a piece?
No, I don't know how those contracts work. So, but I'm going to say this from my opinion, because I don't know the exact numbers. I believe that now, with that happening, there will probably have to be a percentage that goes to the player. I think. I don't know for sure, because I don't know what that whole marketing thing is. That's outside of my purview. But, you know, I can't, if the whole thing was about, you know, universities and others being able to, you know, use people's names, brands, you know, name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
That 21 jersey ain't worth it unless you got Cockburn on the back of it.
Yeah, you got that
you
right.
know,
if I'm Kofi Cockburn right now, I'm going to the graphic design department in Illinois. I'm getting the best graphic design dude that just all he do is just come up with graphics and crazy things that you can do around his name, Kofi Cockburn. And I'm finna pump these shirts out for the rest of going into the tournament. That dude he would sell a lot, bro.
He does. No, he's a great kid, man. And I do know a lot of these kids have T-shirt deals. And so that's not a bad idea, though. I just don't know how their deals are structured. But I'm with you. If I got a company doing it for me, I want a different shirt pumped out every month.
I couldn't let you get out of this interview without asking you this. And this going to put some heat on you. But I need I need from you.
Okay, bring it. I like heat.
The top 5 Illini players of all time.
I got to go with Nick Anderson and Kendall Gill. I think those are 2 of the baddest dudes that ever put on a uniform. If Nick had stayed there past the 2 years,
who knows?
I'm definitely throwing myself in there. So that's
there
going.
you go.
Throwing myself in there. Wow, there's just so many. If I reach back, Nick Witherspoon was an absolute double beast.
You said I got you 5.
You can give me more than 5. You can give me more than 5.
Can I give you
Snake,
5 and a 6?
got so Snake in there, Ken Norman.
And that's the thing, though. I mean, there's so many dudes. But Shaquille, I mean, shit. You go here today, you got Kofi, you got Ayo.
One of them
Derek
3 boys got
Harper.
to be a Luther Head or D Brown or Darren Williams. Oh, my.
That's what I'm saying.
Frank Williams, I don't know, man. Yeah.
I don't know how to see. To me, I think Kendall and Nick are the 2 best players that ever put on a uniform at Illinois. Kendall became that. Nick, when he walked on campus, was a man amongst boys.
Yeah.
I look at that, and I get a lot of debates with people about who's the best team and so forth and so on. I mean, could you imagine D Brown having to guard Nick Anderson? I mean, it's not possible. They were too small, compared to those guys. And these guys are just as athletic. So it's kind of scary to have to do that. But those 2 guys, I think, are the best guys to wear a uniform. I was the best low post scorer at the University of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason I'm going to throw myself in there. From that guard position, man, that's where it gets really hard. Your 1 and 2 guard, I mean, Derek Harper.
Forgot about Derek Harper.
Yeah, D Brown was great. So you got to
take a choice.
Take a choice. I give you the top 3. So you got 3 right there, Lou.
I take that.
Wrapping it up, man. What we want to know, what's the next chapter in Deon Thomas's hoop dream?
Next chapter. Well, for me, like I said, I'm working on getting this other consulting business, workforce augmentation business up and going to be able to help not just kids, the players that are coming out of Illinois, but if I can do this the right way, then it'll be partnering with universities across the country to help their athletes that are going and coming to be able to find in their respective job markets places for them instead of seeing people fall apart, fall off the map and things like that. And then I'm waiting on grandkids, man. so I can get my other hoopers in line. I mean, then I'm waiting on them, man, to get the other ones in line. But in the meantime, that company, and then I'm just going to keep giving back as much as I can until I got my family taking up that rest of that.
Man, it has been an honor, more than an honor, to have you on the podcast, have you on the show, man. I'm just sitting there like, man, Agee, we got the legend, Deon Thomas, man. I still remember, man, watching you play. I remember even once upon a time, even when you was at UIC, you was recruiting my son once upon a time. I mean, it's just, man, people just don't understand. And you were so right. The history and the legacy of Chicago basketball is we just know each other. We just do. We just connect on a different level, no matter where we at. If we find out you from Chicago, you automatically get the Hoopers pass with us, without a doubt. No doubt about it, man. Thank you for being on the show, man. This was a treat today, absolutely.
I'm the goat of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pockets macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office in one day, they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffar, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office in one day, they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office in one day, they gon' have to pay me.